What do you, Sterling, what do you think about the public understanding of genetics in particular? Do you think it's would you give them an A+? Would you give them
I wouldn't give them an A+, but I give them a potential for having an A+. I think that the impact that personal genomics and the rate at which discoveries are happening, I think that this is going to force the hand of education in the public arena. Like, I think that people both are going to be interested and are going to want to learn more about the nitty-gritty of genetics. And I think that right now, there's just a lot of wonder and curiosity, and there are some people that have really good information, and there's some people that have really bad information, just about like anything. And genetics, as you know, can be both some simple concepts to some very complex one, and the information that one gets from their own personal genetic background has both of those things, and it has the potential to be confusing and to sort of be a minefield of misinformation. But I hold a positive. I think there's a positive potential for people learning and understanding.
What's always so fascinating to me is when we meet new parents, average-sized parents that have had a dwarf child, and it always comes to this. They tell the story of when they were given the diagnosis, and 90% of them have horrifically bad stories to tell about how they were told their child was going to be a dwarf. And I always want to go back and hear the other side of that story. Was it just a shock to them and they read negativity into it, or was that negativity actually delivered?
Mm-hmm. I just want to know in general, do you have any hopes or fears for the future of genetic research?
Well, a cousin of mine, the daughter of my uncle who was BRCA2, found out she was BRCA2, and she's in the process of seeing physicians. And one physician said to her, based on her age and my uncle's age, that there's research going on, and they're probably within the next few years they will find a moderator mutation. Because why is it that there's a spectrum of people who would get breast cancer? And so we don't know this yet, but that's my hope as well, that the research will continue and that they will find out that why do some people get breast cancer who have BRCA2 and some people don't? Is it environment, or is it drinking too much alcohol or not enough alcohol? What is it?
Hopefully that second one.
Yeah. So I definitely believe in research and rewarding the companies that make these contributions.
So you think you hope the journey will continue into research and funding the research. Right. What else?
I think of it from the perspective of my grandchildren that will come in about 10 or 15 years. And all of this testing will be back in the forefront in our family. I guess there's a sense of relief knowing that my boys, as future dads, will have the information available to them. And they will have the freedom of choice to do with that what they choose.
I hope it continues, and I hope it doesn't get out of hand, whatever that means.
I think for me, my best hope would be that the information progresses to the point where that it helps people who are looking at cures and treatments, that it helps them do their job, and that it helps the general public make informed personal decisions. My fear is it's lighthearted. If you've seen the movie Gattaca, that's basically one of the fears of it going out of hand, where there's, people are forced to make choices, or where socioeconomic status can determine, people can take more advantage of this. I mean, it's kind of a lighthearted fear, but it's legitimate fear that kind of embodies the fear of people having their ability to make their choice taken away from them due to socioeconomic status or outside pressures. I think as my hope would be that it remains personal decisions.
My hope is that, it will help individuals make medical decisions in a more informed way, both with themselves and with clinicians, and that, like for instance, pharmacologically, like the pharmacological principles, once we know the genetics of how we may respond to certain drugs, we'll be able to fine-tune which drugs would help us more and which ones would more likely produce side effects. That's just an example.
I think one thing that all of you touched on, but we never brought out into the open so directly, is the idea of genetic determinism. And really, in your own way, you each have brought to this course, by representing a trait or a particular background, how gray genetic determinism really is, and that human beings are not just their genes, right? We're human beings. We're not just one trait. We're many traits. We're many people together, and that I hope for the future that this genetic information we're able to use this together to realize all the many wonderful things that it means to be a human and to make us unique individually and as a species. And that my only fear is that we grow out of our adolescence of, misunderstanding each other, and I hope that we can understand how we make decisions and consensus about these ideas. And I think very truly that it's in great part to people's willingness, like your own, to participate in projects like this and other educational opportunities that's going to be possible. So thank you for
Thank you.
for being here.
Having us.
Thank you.